expert in the conversation. Joining me now via Zoom is Dr. Charles Nyaba. He is head of programs and advocacy at the Peasant Farmers Association. Thank you for your time, Doc. So here we are. In fact, we understand that there are even more concerns emerging from Parliament and also the Buffer Stock Company about some artificial food shortage we are experiencing. First of all, what's your take on these trends that we're witnessing in the last few days? Is this something that's likely to continue for a very long time?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I think it is disappointing to always hear a statement like this, especially coming from a National Food Buffer Stock Company. I say this because I would like us to look at the mandate of National Food Buffer Stock Company. The number one objective of National Food Buffer Stock Company is to stabilize food grain supply and prices, to create employment, to ensure emergency food reserves, to ensure macroeconomic stability. So today, if National Food Buffer Stock Company fail to deliver its mandate of ensuring that we have stability in food prices, but rather try to create impression as if the farmers who are creating artificial shortage, I think that's disappointing. It is a failure on their part to deliver the purpose for which they were formed. So it should have been a different unit that is making this statement, not National Food Buffer Stock Company. That is first. Secondly, there is no crime if a farmer decides after harvest to sell some and keep some to be sold and then use that for products. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The farmer is in business. So if during the bumper harvest period, the farmer sees that I don't need to sell everything, but I need to store some and then sell some during the lean season, I think it's unacceptable for anybody to say that they are creating artificial shortage. Now, let me indicate that why is it that some few years back, this artificial shortage was not created? Once we have more food supply in the system, there's no way all that food will be stored and there will be shortages during the lean season. No, we agree that every year is a seasonal thing. That when it's getting to May, June, July, there's always food shortages. But it is not to the extent of what we are experiencing today. What we are experiencing today cannot be linked to anybody trying to create artificial food shortage, but it's linked to inadequate supply compared to demand. So that's the angle at which I would like to position it.
And of course, looking at the situation in which we find ourselves now, we're consistently witnessing that sharp rise in prices. And many are attributing it to varied conditions. Some say it's more of the external factors. Some say it's more of the internal factors. Here's the Buffer Stock Company, which is attributing that to middlemen. But the concern about middlemen is something that many on the streets do not really understand. How does that work within the agro-industry?
Yeah, so to me, I think most of the factors has to do with the way we handle the sector. For middlemen have been there all these years. Not only this year that middlemen are now going to buy food stock and stock. We always have middlemen. What happened? What are the things that we didn't get right? I will put this in two key factors. One is external factors and the second one is domestic factors. External factors has to do with the impact of COVID-19 that impacted on access to input in 2021. If you remember, when we were about starting the season in 2021, peasant farmers came out clearly that if certain measures were not put in place, the way input prices were going high, the way it was difficult for people to bring in mechanization facilities such as tractors and other harvesters, and the fact that government failed to deliver subsidized fertilizer in 2021, the quantities that was required, it was likely to affect food availability in 2022. And that is what is happening. The other factor also has to do with the fact that there are external pressures, which is associated with increase in fuel prices, depreciation of our currency, war in Ukraine, which is also impacting on fertilizer prices. So if a farmer who would have used 1,500 Ghana cedis to produce 1 acre of a maize farm now have to use 3,500 to 3,700 to produce the same acre of maize farm this year, the farmer would want to remain in business by shifting the cost to the cost of production. So what is happening now, I think it is always unfair for us to create impression that see the increase in price, farmers are just imposing it without looking at the farmer cost of production. Last year, how much were we buying fertilizer? We were buying open market fertilizer around 130 Ghana cedis. This year, the same thing is going for 350 to 400 Ghana cedis. How much were we spending on tractor services? It was around 150. This year, it's going for 250 because of increase in fuel prices. How much were we buying weedicides? Let's say condemned. They were buying it around 20 Ghana cedis. This year is going for 55 Ghana cedis. So if you're a farmer who now have to more than quadruple your cost of production, that farmer who has the produce to sell will also expect to put the cost so that the person will remain in business. So we should have probably been talking about these factors rather than creating the impression that if somebody is artificially influencing the prices. I do not want to associate myself with that position of the National Food Buffer Stock Company.
So really, are we experiencing a shortage, or you're disputing that fact?
Yeah, I think the shortage is clear for everybody to see. Maybe after this interview, you may want to call some few consumers, or you call the various food markets to find out what is the availability. You see, the recent maize that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture went to the field and saw is not bumper, or it wasn't. You see, in every year when the farmers harvest, they usually do not sell their produce and keep the money in the bank. They keep the produce. When it will rain and they are about to start with the new season, what they stock, they now bring it out to the market to sell so that they can use that to produce. So currently you go to the Techima market, you are seeing that we have some maize in the market. You go to Ejura, you are seeing we are having maize. Tumu, you are seeing we are having maize. And the impression is created as saying, oh, okay, we have enough. No, it is not the case. This is just a temporal development, and within 1 week to 2, all these maize will be cleared. So if you're not taking time, when we enter July, August, there is going to be serious shortage. And I bet you it is the reason why we start importing maize from Argentina. When has Ghana imported maize from Argentina? Today we are importing maize from Argentina for poultry farmers. You know, so to me, there is shortage.
Ghana is importing maize from all the way from Argentina.
Of course, there is maize in the market from Argentina for poultry. You know, which we do not support that because we are thinking that government is spending a lot of money in supporting farmers under the planting for food jobs. So if today we have to depend on other countries for crops like maize and rice, I don't think it's something that we need to go. We import a lot of rice and now we are adding maize. Most of our vegetables, we are importing them from the neighboring countries, you know, so which is unacceptable. So I think we need to look at the mandate of Ghana Buffer Food Stock Company very well. And then if you think that they are not able to deliver on their mandate, but they only want to do PR work, we all need to, to advise on the way to go.
So what immediate changes would you want to see?
You see, as it stands now, many farmers are actually changing their planting patterns. Most farmers are actually shifting from production of crops that are heavy feeders of fertilizer, like maize and rice, because fertilizer cost is very high. Now, the fertilizer companies will confirm that they are not able to sell, and they are compelled to even reduce the price of their fertilizers. Costs of agrochemicals are very high. Now, government had just launched the development bank. What I was expecting to see immediately is to see how we make it possible for farmers to be able to reduce their cost of production. Once they produce their cost of production, they'll be able to also expand their farm sizes, those crops that are considered as heavy feeders, which are also relevant to our staple food sector, like maize and rice. They will go into increase their production. They will go into apply the appropriate quantity of input that is required. And if that happens, I mean, we will have some level of assurance that next year we will not be here complaining the same time.
Anyway, Doc, we would have to leave it here, but thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the pod.